Alright, not real sure where I left off after the last video, but at one point I had the whole front of the car put back together and went ahead and started it and all that, and still having a issue where the throwout bearing isn't releasing. So at this point I've got the engine and trans almost ready to pull. Still a few more things to undo. I don't know if I captured this in my last video, but here is a lovely setup the previous owner made to hold the slave cylinder in place. So this tab is completely broken off of the transmission, so he made this weird bracket to hold it. I don't think that's affecting it. This is obviously a brand new slave cylinder. We tried bleeding it I don't know how many times, so wondering if it may be an issue inside the bell housing with the throwout bearing. We do have a spare transmission, so I'd like to get it in there anyway to get rid of that stupid plate and so forth. So yeah, basically got everything torn back apart from what I just put together not that long ago. So that's great, but yeah, we'll get it pulled out here shortly. All I've really got left to do is undo the thermostat housing so I can get my heater hoses connected. Obviously there's a few ways you can do that, but that seems like the easiest. Then I do have to disconnect that slave cylinder. I already got the lower engine mount, so now I've just got the two up top and it'll be ready to pull.
Alright guys, so we didn't record much of us taking the actual engine out. It's pretty simple. You disconnect the motor mounts, the shift linkage, the header, and what else, Mike? Some wiring.
Oil cooler hoses, heater hoses.
Yeah, there's really not much to it besides the suspension. But, you know, once you get past removing the entire, strut assembly, I mean, the strut's still there, but the hub, the rotor, the wheel bearing, the axles, it all has to come out. That was new for me.
The motor mount.
Oh, the motor mount.
It's supposed to be attached.
Oh yeah, we'll have to get a new one of those. Gosh, we're going to be spending so much money just putting this car back together so it can pass emissions, so it can get torn apart again. But anyway, Mike, what else did you find that wasn't quite right?
So shift cables, mounts are messed up. The thing I talked about on the slave. That's about it.
No, I just meant, was there anything new that you found? Like, wasn't there a bolt on there that's not tight for the subframe?
Oh, yeah, the control arm.
Controller.
Yeah, it was missing a trans mount bolt, which are like special bolts, I've heard. So.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think we're going to take the transmission off, figure out what all we need to put it back together, and then order the parts, wait, clean up the engine bay, and then... Are you checking that out?
Yeah.
Look at how skinny those are.
I know.
They're so cute. I don't know, this whole front wheel drive thing is new to me. I mean, we've taken apart all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive multiple times.
Massive exhaust leaks.
Here we are. I miss you. I ordered parts for you. Well, I didn't order them yet, but don't mind the Super Tech. We always run that before we, I don't know. Before we spend too much money on things. But anyway, so let's take the transmission off.
Alright, so just pulled the clutch out of the car. Obviously there was a little interference going on there, but in a car where the clutch has been ran, you wouldn't expect to see all of the writing on it still. And look at that pressure plate. It looks brand new.
Yeah, and maybe just a little dirty from
Yeah, you can
to spin.
You can see on the top there was just a tiny bit of grab. But anyway, went to pull this off And none of the pressure plate screws were tight. Like
Screws, bolts.
bolts were tight. There was probably 1/16 of an inch or more gap between the mounting face of the pressure plate and the flywheel. So obviously, yeah, the throwout bearing was doing the best that it can, because on a Mini, your throwout bearing just pushes on all of these teeth to essentially compress the pressure plate down. If it wasn't even in a seated position, yeah.
Yeah, because what is the torque ratio for most clutches? I mean, obviously it depends on what type of engine and everything, but at least 50, 60 pounds.
For torquing the hardware?
Yeah.
I mean, they're little, but yeah, I mean, at least 40 pounds.
Where are they? Oh, right there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that is kind of...
I mean, they're e-torques, so. And then is that the throwout bearing over there?
Yeah. Throwout bearing did have a clip that got broken. So, this little ear broke off. Essentially, this clips onto the fork and presses on there to actuate the clutch. But when your pressure plate's not tight, obviously that can't happen. You can kind of...
It's a little complicated compared to Subarus.
But these are essentially...
Yeah, those push up against
springs,
it, right?
yeah. And so when you clamp this down on a flywheel with a clutch disc in between, these should be sitting flat where they were not. So, yeah, that was the easiest pressure plate I've ever removed in my life. Sucks that all this could have been avoided, but my bet is the guy maybe didn't even own e-torques. So he didn't know how to tighten them. I don't know. But this one had to come out anyway. Like we detailed, one of the ears for the slave cylinder is just completely broken off. So it needed to come out anyway.
Yeah, because this transmission's pretty much garbage, right?
Yeah, I mean, internally, if anyone wants the internals.
Yeah, let us know if you want the internals from it. Brody, if you're watching this and you want it, let us know. Anyway, do you think we're going to conclude this video? We're going to order some parts, and then next video will be us putting it back together.
I think so.
I wish we were K-swapping it already, but we're waiting on mounts anyway, so... But anyway, have a good night. Thanks for staying tuned and being entertained with us, just to see what all we find. So anyway, we're gonna go inside and order some parts. So have a good night.
Alright, so it's been a while since I did an update, so I figured I would pick back up here. Obviously this is now the third time it's looked like this in our ownership. It's now going all back together. I'm just getting ready to put the lower ball joints in the knuckles, and we'll get those put back on. Got a new axle on the driver's side. The new transmission is in with, you know, both tabs for the slave cylinder mount, so hooray. Other than that, didn't really change much from the last video. So. New thermostat. Oh yeah, we did do a new thermostat in housing. The old one was pretty crusty, but yeah, so it should go quick, and then we'll have it all back together. Alright, Olivia, what's next?
Gear oil. What is that, a glove collection?
Alright, so almost all back together now. I do need to go and get some more brake fluid to bleed the slave cylinder. But I'm going to go ahead and fill the trans now. We're going to use the Redline MTL. It's a 7580 GL4. Everything I can tell, this is probably the best fluid you can use for a mini gearbox. So,
And we just randomly had that in our basement.
yeah, as you can tell, that and that bottle have been around for
It's a little dirty.
quite a while. But it's fresh. And seems a little fancy for something we're just going to pull out for the case swap. But I have it.
But it's free because
Yeah, I have
who
it.
knows when we bought it.
And so we'll go ahead and throw this in there now. On the mini trans, you've got a drain and a fill plug. Obviously, you always want to pull the fill plug before you pull the drain plug. Because if you pull the drain plug out and you can't get the fill plug out,
Really?
yeah, you're going to have a bad time. So, because if you can't put fluid back in, so always want to crack your fill before you ever mess with your drain. So now I've got the drain plug back in on the car. Sorry, Olivia. And I've got the fill plug here on the workbench. So we'll go ahead and fill it till it starts to run out, and we'll be done. And my dog's life is now 5 years shorter.
Because you scared her. Alright guys, it's the next day. Mike and I were up kind of late working on this. I mean, not late, maybe 8 o'clock. Anyway, we needed to go get some more brake fluid, and we didn't want to leave. So that kind of put a stopping point on our evening last night. But as you can see, we did start to put the front end on. We are going to go ahead and start it and see if it goes into gear before we put fluids or really coolant in it. The block is still full of coolant, excuse me, goodness. So it's not like we're running it dry or anything like that. It's a very nice day in Colorado today, so I started working on cleaning up some of the cosmetic things. Hopefully we can get the car out of the garage today and wash it. That'll be nice. But I started painting the mirror caps white as well as the scoop because, like I said, we do have a livery planned for this. So anyway, we're going to get it started now and hopefully it goes into gear. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so we just bled the slave cylinder and we're going to try and start it, see if it worked. Not really sure what that cold start is about, but we'll figure that out. So it looks like we're getting there. So before, Mike couldn't hold the brake and put it into gear. So it's good. So it looks like now he's able to hold the brake and put it into gear. So yay, we can move it out of the garage.
It's getting really bad vibrations. I mean, the wheels and the axles aren't torqued.
Yeah.
So I assume.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll finish putting it back together, and then hopefully the end of this video tomorrow we will move it out of the garage. So we have to go help hang some Christmas lights for Mike's parents, so who knows how far we'll get on it tomorrow, but might be Wednesday. But either way, this week the Mini will be out of the garage. So good job, Mike. Alright guys, so I've been using a product on the Mini that just came out, well, Mike and I found. I'm a big fan of Chemical Guys products. I know a lot of you probably are not. But we've been using this product on the Mini just to try it out. It's called Black on Black. So we went through, well, I went through and cleaned up this fender liner. I'll show you what the other side looks like in just a second. But we used it on all the trim moldings. It's kind of like back to black, but doesn't leave it greasy. It looks really good. So I was going to go through and paint all of these moldings, but seeing how good they look, we'll see them out in the sun obviously, but they look really good. So they don't leave you with that like greasy feeling. I did go ahead and spray it directly on these moldings. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Obviously I don't necessarily care about this paint. Mike will probably get mad at me if he hears me say that, but You know, it's been sitting outside since 2017, so it's kind of gross anyway, but this is the other fender liner here. So this is the after. This is the before. So Mike's in the process of removing the headlight, but look at how gross it looks. Pretty gross. Anyway, this is what the other one looks like. And all I did was spray this product on there. So anyway, just getting it put back together. Here's the true test, going back up the driveway. Unless Mike's gonna cruise it around the block. Look at it go. So if you watched our first video, you'll know when we bought the Mini, it was not movable. So Mike pushed it out of the trailer into the garage, and it's been sitting here ever since. So we're gonna wash it now, probably clean up the garage because it is a disaster in here. We've been working on the Mini for about 2 weeks-ish. So anyway, thanks for watching this up. Get this, hopefully this phone screen is not dirty. Anyway, we'll get it all cleaned up and hopefully start the K-Swap progress next. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you haven't liked, subscribe. We'll show progress of getting the Mini cleaned up, and we're probably going to start wrapping it soon. So thanks again for watching, guys.